Experience, life has a way of testing us. At times, we face pain that seems unbearable, loss, disappointment, failure, or betrayal. But here's the truth: God does not waste our pain. Experience, every trial, every hurt, and every hard edge is an opportunity for God to mold us, refine us, and set us up for a greater purpose. Experience, pain is never random in God's economy. It's a tool He uses to prepare us for what's ahead. Experience. Let's explore 4 key ways God turns our pain into purpose. When life hits us with pain, it often comes unexpectedly. It can be the loss of a loved one. Experience. The betrayal of someone we trusted, a health crisis, financial struggles, or dreams that crumble before our eyes. Pain has a way of shaking us to our core. Experience, forcing us to confront the reality that we are not as self-sufficient as we once believed. In those moments, it becomes clear that life cannot be managed by human effort alone. God allows these experiences not to punish us, but to reveal a profound truth: we are dependent on Him. When everything seems to fall apart, experience. When the weight of circumstances presses down on us, we are confronted with our own limitations, and in doing so, are guided to a place of humility and surrender. Experience. It is easy to become complacent in times of comfort. When life is smooth, when our plans are unfolding without obstacles, we tend to rely on our own wisdom, our own strength, experience, and our own understanding. We forget that our abilities are limited, that our control is fragile, and that the world is unpredictable. But when pain enters, it acts as a mirror. Experience, reflecting back to us our vulnerability and insufficiency. Pain exposes the illusion of self-reliance and reminds us that there is a higher power at work in our lives. It is in these moments that we are forced to lift our eyes, to turn our hearts, and to seek a source of strength beyond ourselves. Experience. God's purpose in allowing pain is often twofold. First, it draws us closer to Him. In the quiet moments of suffering, when we feel alone, abandoned, or overwhelmed, experience, God is present, inviting us into a deeper relationship with Him. He is saying, lean on me, trust me, I am here. Experience. Even when you feel alone, this intimacy cannot be forced or manufactured. It comes naturally when the circumstances of life push us to acknowledge that we need Him. Experience. Our prayers become more heartfelt, our dependence more genuine, and our faith more resilient. Pain has a way of stripping away the distractions and the false securities of life. Experience, leaving us with the essential truth: we need God. Second, pain serves as a teacher. It teaches patience, resilience, and the ability to persevere. When we encounter difficulty, our initial reaction is often frustration, confusion, or even anger. But if we allow ourselves to be guided by God in these moments, experience, we begin to see that He uses these circumstances to cultivate qualities within us that would never develop in ease or comfort. The struggle itself becomes a classroom. Experience, and God becomes the teacher. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of uncertainty is an opportunity to learn trust, obedience, and reliance on divine wisdom. Experience. Pain challenges us to shift our perspective from what we can control to what God can orchestrate. It reminds us that our understanding is limited, but God's plan is perfect. Experience. The process is not easy. There is no shortcut around the suffering, no way to bypass the emotions that accompany it. God does not remove the pain immediately. Instead, experience, He uses it to draw our hearts upward. He uses it to remind us that we are not in control, but He is. He uses it to demonstrate that true strength is found not in our abilities, experience, but in surrendering to His guidance. In this surrender, we find freedom. Freedom from anxiety, freedom from the pressure of trying to fix everything on our own, experience, and freedom from the illusion that we are sufficient apart from Him. When we learn to rely on God through pain, we also develop a greater sensitivity to His presence. Experience. We begin to notice His provision in ways we never did before. We recognize His timing, His wisdom, and His faithfulness. Experience. Pain becomes the lens through which we see God's love more clearly. It awakens our spirit to the reality that even in the midst of trials, we are never abandoned. Experience. God is always working, always present, always orchestrating for our ultimate good. Our dependence on Him grows not out of necessity alone, but out of recognition of His greatness. Experience His goodness and His unchanging nature. Ultimately, the lesson is clear: God allows pain to reveal our dependence on Him, because in that dependence, experience, we discover life's greatest strength. Pain strips away pride, exposes our limitations, and calls us into a deeper relationship with the Creator. Experience, the very circumstances that feel like obstacles are actually gateways to a closer walk with God, a more authentic faith, and a life anchored in His presence. Experience. The next time you find yourself in the grip of suffering, remember that it is not wasted. It is an invitation to lean harder, to trust deeper, and to experience the power of God's presence in a way that only trials can reveal. Pain has a unique way of shaping who we are. When life is easy and comfortable, experience, there is little opportunity for growth. But when we encounter difficulty, when trials press against us and challenges test our limits, experience, it is in these moments that God begins to work deeply within us. Pain is not only a teacher, it is a refiner. Just as gold must go through fire to remove impurities, experience, our hearts and character are purified through trials. God allows us to experience hardship not to punish us, but to mold us into vessels capable of carrying his purposes. Experience, the struggles we face are not obstacles to God's plan. They are instruments in his workshop, carefully designed to refine, strengthen, experience, and prepare us for the life he has called us to lead. One of the first ways pain refines us is by cultivating patience. When we are in the midst of difficulty, our natural impulse is to seek immediate relief, to fix what is broken, or to escape the discomfort. But God's timing is perfect, and often he allows the process to unfold slowly so that we might develop endurance. Endurance is not merely the ability to tolerate hardship, it is the capacity to remain steadfast, experience, faithful, and hopeful even when the outcome is uncertain. Patience cultivated through pain is a powerful tool. It teaches us to wait on God, to trust his timing, experience, and to understand that his plan is far greater than our immediate desires. Without the refining fire of pain, we may never learn to persevere or to remain anchored in faith when life feels unstable. Pain also builds humility. Experience, hardship exposes our limitations and reminds us that we are not in control of everything. Experience, pride often blinds us to the reality that we need God's guidance and wisdom in every aspect of life. When we are humbled by pain, experience, we recognize that we cannot navigate the complexities of life on our own. This humility allows us to rely more fully on God and opens our hearts to his instruction. It removes the barriers that pride can create, making us more teachable, more compassionate, and more aligned with God's will. Through pain, experience, we learn that true strength is not found in self-sufficiency, but in surrendering to God's authority and wisdom. Furthermore, pain develops resilience. Life is unpredictable. Experience and difficulties are inevitable. Without experiencing challenges, we may never discover the depth of our own inner strength or the power of God working through us. Pain forces us to adapt, to find new ways to cope, and to press forward even when circumstances are discouraging. Experience. This resilience is essential because it equips us for future challenges and prepares us to fulfill the purpose God has for our lives. Experience. Resilience learned through suffering is different from toughness built by easy victories. It is tested, proven, and strengthened in the crucible of life's trials. Experience, making us capable of facing whatever comes with faith and courage. Pain also clarifies priorities. When life is shaken, we are compelled to examine what truly matters. Experience, superficial concerns fade and eternal perspectives come into focus. We begin to see the value of relationships, the importance of character, experience, and the need for alignment with God's purpose. The pain we endure sharpens our vision, enabling us to distinguish between temporary distractions and lasting significance. Experience, it teaches us to invest in what truly counts and to release what is fleeting or unworthy. In this way, pain becomes a divine compass, experience, pointing us toward what is essential and away from what is irrelevant. Finally, pain has a way of producing empathy and compassion. As we endure hardship, experience, we gain a firsthand understanding of the struggles that others face. Our suffering equips us to minister to, encourage, and uplift those who are experiencing similar trials. Experience. The character developed in the furnace of pain becomes a source of blessing not only for ourselves, but for those around us. Experience. It transforms our perspective from one of self-focus to one of service, enabling us to share the lessons, strength, and hope we have received. Ultimately, experience. God uses pain to refine our character because he desires to prepare us for a greater purpose. The qualities we develop through hardship, patience, humility, resilience, clarity, experience, and empathy are essential for the work he has called us to do. Pain is never wasted. It is a divine instrument. Experience, shaping our hearts and preparing us to fulfill the destiny God has set before us. Every tear shed, every disappointment endured, and every challenge faced is part of the process of becoming the person God intended us to be. When we understand this, we begin to see pain not as a curse, but as a blessing. Experience, a powerful force that molds our character, strengthens our faith, experience, and equips us for the life of purpose God has prepared. One of the most profound ways God transforms our pain into purpose is by equipping us to help others. Experience, life has a way of shaping us through trials, not just for our own benefit, but so that we can become vessels of encouragement, strength, and guidance for those around us. Experience. When we walk through hardship, we gain experiences that give our words weight, our empathy depth, experience, and our understanding a clarity that can only come from having faced similar struggles ourselves. Pain, when surrendered to God, becomes a tool for ministry. Experience, a bridge that connects our hearts to the hearts of others who are hurting. Experiencing suffering allows us to develop a unique kind of empathy. Experience, there is a difference between knowing someone is hurting and truly understanding what they are going through. Trials awaken our sensitivity to the pain of others. When we have been broken, disappointed, or betrayed, we understand the nuances of fear, uncertainty, and despair. Experience, this understanding enables us to offer not just empty words of comfort, but real encouragement, practical guidance, and a living testimony of hope. Experience, the lessons learned in the valley become a lifeline for those who are still navigating their own struggles. God often positions us in the lives of others, not by chance, experience, but by design, using our personal pain to minister and heal. Pain also gives credibility to our encouragement. People are drawn to those who have walked the path they are on. Experience, those who have faced similar storms and emerged stronger. Our experiences become a testimony that God can bring triumph from trials. Experience, sharing our journey of overcoming challenges allows others to see that pain does not have the final word. When we speak from the heart, experience, revealing the lessons learned in moments of weakness and despair, we provide tangible hope that inspires faith. Experience, our stories show that God's power is greater than the problems we face, and His purpose is bigger than the pain we endure. Another vital aspect of pain is that it teaches us patience and compassion in supporting others. Those who have never suffered may offer advice, experience, but they may lack the depth of understanding needed to truly encourage someone who is hurting. Pain produces a heart that can listen without judgment, comfort without pretension, experience, and guide without pride. It cultivates a spirit that can rejoice in the healing of others and grieve with those who are still struggling. Experience. God uses our past experiences to shape our responses to present needs, making us conduits of His love and wisdom. Through pain, we learn how to walk gently with others, experience how to provide hope without forcing solutions, and how to trust God to work in the lives of those we are helping. Pain also equips us to recognize the timing and needs of others. Experience. In the midst of our own trials, we learn that healing and guidance cannot be rushed. We develop sensitivity to the right words at the right moment. Experience the right action at the right time. This discernment is essential in helping others navigate their struggles. God uses our experiences to teach us the art of timing in ministry. Experience, showing us when to speak and when to simply be present. Our pain becomes a guide, training us to respond to others with wisdom and grace. Finally, experience. God often allows our pain to become a platform for a larger purpose. When we have been shaped by suffering, we are equipped to impact communities, mentor younger generations, experience, and inspire movements of hope and transformation. Our trials, once surrendered to God, become stepping stones for service and leadership. Pain is not just about surviving experience. It is about being prepared to help others rise, to become a vessel through which God's glory is revealed. The scars we carry are not symbols of defeat, experience. They are testimonies of God's faithfulness and a reminder that what we endure can be used to bless countless lives. In essence, experience, God turns pain into purpose by equipping us to minister to others. The challenges we face, the struggles we endure, experience, or the heartbreaks we experience are all part of His design to prepare us to serve, encourage, and inspire those around us. Every trial endured is a lesson learned. Experience, every wound healed becomes a testimony, and every moment of weakness transforms into an opportunity to reflect God's strength. When we embrace our pain as part of God's plan, it no longer isolates us, it connects us. It allows our experiences to become a source of hope and a channel of God's love. Experience, demonstrating that our suffering has a purpose far greater than we could have imagined. Pain often feels random and meaningless, especially when it arrives unexpectedly. Experience, it challenges our sense of control, shakes our faith, and tests our patience. But God has a way of taking what seems chaotic and molding it into a purposeful design. Experience, one of the most profound ways He turns pain into purpose is by using it to align us with His ultimate plan, even when we cannot see the full picture. Experience, even when life seems uncertain, God is at work behind the scenes, orchestrating events, circumstances, and opportunities to guide us toward the destiny He has prepared. Experience, pain is not a roadblock in God's plan. It is a divine compass redirecting us, shaping us, and positioning us exactly where we need to be for His purposes to unfold. Many times, experience, what we perceive as setbacks are actually setups. When a door closes, it can feel like a disappointment, but God often closes doors to open greater opportunities. Experience. When a relationship ends, when a job is lost, or when a plan fails, these painful experiences are often God's way of redirecting us to a path that is better, higher experience, and more aligned with His will. Pain forces us to reevaluate our direction, to question our assumptions, and to trust in God's wisdom rather than our own understanding. It challenges us to stop relying solely on our plans and to start leaning fully into God's guidance. This process, though uncomfortable, experience is essential for aligning our lives with His ultimate purpose. Alignment with God's plan also requires trust. Pain naturally triggers fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Experience. We ask questions like, why me? Or, when will this end? But these moments of questioning are opportunities to deepen our faith. Experience. God allows us to experience discomfort so that we can learn to trust Him in ways that are not superficial or conditional. Trust is born in the crucible of hardship. Experience. And it is in these moments that we discover that God's plans are far bigger and more beautiful than anything we could have imagined. Experience. Pain teaches us to relinquish control and to embrace the truth that God is orchestrating everything for our ultimate good, even when we cannot yet see the outcome. Experience. Pain also aligns us by teaching perspective. When life is difficult, it is easy to focus on the immediate suffering and lose sight of the bigger picture. Experience. God uses these experiences to shift our vision from short-term discomfort to long-term purpose. He invites us to view our struggles through the lens of eternity. Experience. To understand that what seems like an ending may be a beginning, and that our trials can prepare us for something far greater than ourselves. Experience. This perspective transforms our understanding of pain, allowing us to see it not as punishment or failure, but as a strategic part of God's divine plan for our lives. Experience. Furthermore, pain often serves as a wake-up call to realign our priorities with God's values. When life feels comfortable, it is easy to become distracted by trivial matters, experience, ambitions, or temporary pleasures. But when we are confronted with suffering, we are forced to examine what truly matters. Experience. Pain strips away the superficial and exposes the essential. It directs our focus to spiritual growth, meaningful relationships, service, and living in accordance with God's will. Experience. In this way, pain functions as a corrective tool, realigning our hearts, our minds, and our actions with the ultimate purposes God has designed for us. Finally, pain aligns us with God's plan by preparing us for the testimony of victory. When we endure hardship and emerge on the other side, we are positioned to witness to God's faithfulness. Our experiences become powerful examples of His power, grace, and love. Experience. Pain that once seemed unbearable is transformed into a platform for praise, encouragement, and inspiration. Experience. Our journey through suffering becomes a story that not only confirms God's goodness to ourselves, but also serves as a beacon of hope for others. Through this alignment, experience, our pain is not wasted. It becomes an integral part of God's narrative, demonstrating that He is always at work, even when life seems uncertain or confusing. In essence, experience, God turns pain into purpose by using it to align us with His ultimate plan. Every trial, every setback, experience, and every moment of hardship has the potential to position us exactly where we need to be for God's plan to unfold. Pain teaches trust, shifts perspective, realigns priorities, and prepares us for a testimony that will inspire others. What once felt like suffering becomes a stepping stone to destiny, revealing that even in our darkest moments, God's hand is guiding us toward His perfect will. When we surrender to Him and embrace the lessons of pain, experience, we discover that our struggles were never meaningless. They were the instruments through which God crafted our purpose and prepared us for the extraordinary life He has promised.